Welcome back to the sexual gonads lecture. We're going to emphasize on the structure and formation or embryology. First, we go with the structure, and for structure, we're going to look at the location. Now, the testes are located on the scrotum, a sac of skin that hangs outside the body. Sperms need a temperature of approximately from 32 to 35 for healthy sperm production. Because the enzymes produced needs to be in lower temperature than 37 degrees centigrade. The ovaries are located at the opposite ends of the pelvic wall on either side of the uterus. And the ovaries are attached by the fimbriae, and this tissue connects the ovaries to the fallopian tube. This is right over there. This is the histological, under the microscope, the histological picture of testes. And this is a representative diagram of what the ovary look like, and this is what happens in the menstrual cycle. But we're not going to go through that now. So, embryology. What are they consist of? How are they formed, and when are they formed? 3 questions. So let's start with the first one. In mammalians, the formation of the testes and ovaries are the primary sexual characteristics of males and females. At first, the gonads are undifferentiated, and they arise from the intermediate mesoderm. That is in the formation of the gastrula. Okay? And the intermediate mesoderm are responsible for the formation of 3 main tissues: kidney, gonads, and their related duct systems, like the renal duct, the renal ducts in the kidneys, and the seminephrines in the testes, and the fallopian tubes of the ovary in females. Now, a group of ducts starts to differentiate from the intermediate mesoderm into a structure named the mesonophores. Now, mesonophores are excretory organs, type of excretory organs that are produced during the embryological development after 5 weeks of human gestation. The epithelia is very thick, and later on it will start to differentiate into the kidney and or ducts. So now the urogenital ridge is not distinguished in male or female. In other words, that at that time, the doctors won't know if it is a male or a female. But after 41 days, means after 1 month, approximately in a week, from fertilization, if the baby have a Y chromosome, it will start to express the SRY gene. This expression causes an effective change in the morphology of the gonads, ducts, and their positions, of course. As we can see, if the SRY is over here, it's at the cap of the Y chromosome, and X doesn't have that. And so if the SRY and when fertilization occurs, the SRY starts to get expressed, and and it will differentiate into male. However, when SRY is not present in the Y chromosome, is not present means that there is 2 X chromosome, it will be female. So let's see how this is done. And when we're going to say that when the SRY gene is expressed, and then we're going to say when it will not be expressed. So when it is expressed, the sex cord of the testes can be differentiated, and those sex cords are differentiated into the seminiferous tubules, which connects from the testes to the urinary bladder. But in the absence of the SRY gene, This enhances the formation of the ovaries. Ovaries do not form sex cord like the testes. But both sexes make the ductal structures develop. The paramesonephric duct, also known as the Mullerian duct. So here is the vast difference in the seminal vesicles. The testes is over, the gonads is over here. The Mullerian duct is the one in red, and the Wolffian duct is in blue. The Wolffian duct stays, and when the SRY is expressed, the Wolffian duct stays there and starts to make the epididymis. However, if the Mullerian duct is, if it's an XX chromosome, the Wolffian duct will stay unaffected, will be degraded. However, the Mullerian duct will be formed into the uterus, the vagina, and the fallopian duct. Okay, sorry. At week 8, testes grow and differentiate and begin to secrete testosterone, which will direct the differentiation of the mesonephric duct to the Wolffian duct, which I have discussed before. The Wolffian duct differentiate into the epididymis and through the deferens and prostates. At the same time, there is the Mullerian duct, which we don't want in the male reproductive system. This inhibits the Mullerian duct to be formed and thus be degraded. But in ovaries, they do not produce testosterone. So the mesonephric ducts will not grow and will not differentiate into Wolffian duct. However, they are degraded at the end. The anti-Mullerian hormone will not be produced, which means the Wolffian duct will remain intact and finally differentiate into the fallopian tubes, uterus, and upper third part of the vagina. And here's the summary scheme of the gonadal differentiation, starting from the indifferent gonads, 6 weeks, and the formation of testes or ovaries. Here, if the SRY is present, we put that a positive. And here, if it's a negative SRY, so SRY is not expressed. In very small cases where where there is an X and Y, but however during the meiosis, when the genetic material is exchanged during the first metaphase, SRY can be transferred to the X chromosome. SRY can be transferred to the X chromosome, and then the Y chromosome is when the sperm carrying the Y chromosome without the SRY fertilizes the egg. It will become female, but she will have the Y chromosome instead of the XX chromosome, the normal, the usual thing. Thank you, and we'll start the next lecture when we come back.